2 nights ago, we saw the Northern Lights for the second time in Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy considering we live significantly south, like at the 33-degree latitude line.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in San Diego, which is 32, 33, essentially. Never has there ever been an indication of the Northern Lights ever coming this far south.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, I grew up in New York, and it was never even a thing that
You guys never saw anything? Or no flashes where it, like, came down? Because you're from upstate New York.
Yeah, I grew up at, like, 47 degrees. That was our latitude. So it was never even a thing that you would maybe be able to see it. It was always, like, a Canada, Alaska, Iceland. And that's why I was like, well, one day I'm going to do that. I'm going to go there so I can see them. And I still want to, but now I don't have to.
Because we've seen them
twice.
In a super rare place. Right. This is crazy.
To see
this far south.
Yeah.
This close to the border, this close to the equator. I mean, that's pretty insane.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. No, it totally is.
And from what I know, from my ancestors who come from this area, I'm not too connected to the culture because I was raised in San Diego, but I have not seen any stories in relation to the Northern Lights being shown in any ancient way this far south.
Yeah, I've never heard of anything.
And if there are, comment.
Yeah, please.
Let us know, because that would be interesting.
Yeah, no, seriously, to know. I was telling you earlier, I saw an article from, I think it was like 1940 or something, in New York, actually, that they did see the Aurora Borealis, and they were like, they weren't sure what it was, and there was like a...
Like New York City?
No, I don't think it was New York City. I think it was like more like north or out somewhere, but there's somewhere where there's like an observatory.
Okay.
And they said they got over 100 phone calls per hour of people asking, like, what am I seeing? Is this a UFO? Is this an invasion? Missiles? Like, whatever. And they had to, like, do, like, a news broadcast to be like, you're okay. It's the Northern Lights. Yeah. We don't know why we're seeing them right now because, again, we're in New York. It's not very common that you see them, but yeah, I did just see an article actually from like the 1940s where they were seen in New York. So
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is.
And it lets you know that you already know people right now are questioning science as to why this is happening. Like obviously we know it's solar radiation that's causing this and solar flares.
Right.
But imagine the lead up to trying to figure out what the Northern Lights actually were and what's causing this.
Oh yeah, no, seriously.
It's pretty crazy.
Especially without the widestream media, like back then you only had the radio, so if you didn't have your radio on to know that this was happening and you went outside and saw that, it could be a little scary. Yeah.
And I like out here it wasn't as intense like as you would probably describe it in this instance. You would go outside and you can see red, right? Like a red aura, Aurora Borealis, but Borealis, but literally you can see it across the sky, almost like just like this red right here, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it was, a little bit harder to see at first. Your eyes have to adjust to seeing that at night, but I know that, going from our backyard rather than driving all the way out to where we drove out on the east side of town, we were able to see a whole lot more on the darker side. Right. Yeah, where you don't have as much light pollution. Yeah. So that's what that's what we want to address actually very specifically, because we went out to the east side of town to go see the Northern Lights, a little bit better, to get rid of the light pollution and stuff like that. Yeah, well, that's not all we saw. But it's not. Of course, right? Yeah. It has to be us that these things keep happening to. I don't even think it's us. I think that there's some... So, let's explain what it is. Well, true. You're right. I don't think it's us. I think we're in a specific location, and a lot of these locations report the same things. So, what we had seen while observing the lights were other lights on this mountain range, the Catalina mountain range and the Rincon mountain range. Both are about 9,000 feet of elevation, so they're pretty tall, and around the center line of these mountain ranges we were seeing a blue light and 2 white lights moving sporadically quickly and turning on, turning off, moving all like crazy. And like 5,000, 6,000 feet where there are no roads, where it's just mountains,
watchtowers. Like it's nothing. It's a barren mountain.
Interesting. And we could not tell you what it is. I've seen these lights in this area before, and actually last time we were observing the Borealis in the same area, I had taken pictures of the mountain, and the lights were in sporadic places on that mountain range. It's very similar to the images that we have of this mountain range. We'll post the image right now. There you go. You saw it.
But we also watched them for at least like 10-ish minutes, maybe longer, after the northern lights had kind of dimmed, because this was like 1 a.m. at this point, maybe even a little bit later. And we watched them
just move around,
doing their whole thing. Like, so for the span of time that we were watching them, like if it was a plane or a helicopter or any explainable phenomenon that we were watching, it would have gone.
There's a lot of paranormal shit going on this mountain. There's a lot of good evidence, is what I'm trying to say. That there is something happening, and this is what makes me believe that it's more than just a drone or anything man-made. Is because I have instances and I have footage, and if I can find the footage, I'll put it in here and include it if I can. Of, say, this is the top of the mountain range right here, of the Catalina mountain range. I've seen white orbs land onto the mountain range and then ascend from the mountain range all the way up into space. And then from that same location, smaller white orbs started to ascend from the mountain. All the way up to space. So it makes you wonder. And then I've seen different orbs, while that all the ones are ascending, descending onto the mountain.
Do you remember, this was like a couple months ago, we were outside in our own backyard, like letting the dogs go to the bathroom before bed. Do you remember for like, again, 15 minutes, we watched those like go around our whole, like, they were making like a not like a boomerang, like a triangle-ish. And they were literally going from one side of town all the way down. And then they were like wrapping around, coming around, and we watched them for a significant amount of time. It was all these little like white lights and stuff. Again, unexplainable.
Very unexplainable. And you know what
it was like a big light, and then it like went off, and then it went back together.
So like, this is like my ears ringing right now. So this is where it gets very interesting, because this is why when you said the statement earlier, is, we're seeing crazy shit. No, it's not us. Because do you remember the very famous instance of the Phoenix lights?
No, I don't.
Do you know about that?
Don't know.
Oh my God. It is actually one of the largest group sightings of UFO in recorded history.
Like the Marfa lights in Texas?
Yes. And it happened around the same year that happened. It was about the Marfa lights.
Taos, New Mexico is known for this stuff too.
Exactly. So in the Phoenix lights situation, there were people from all over the city had seen exactly what you just described.
Oh, really?
And there's footage of it. We can watch it.
Oh.
So, and when you watch the footage, it's exactly what we've seen. This is on a mountain range,
this was
in
like
the sky.
In like the 70s or something.
No, this is in the 90s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 90s or early 2000s. I may be, incorrect on that.
Either way.
But this was, within the last like 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And I remember like that was one of the biggest instances that people were like, okay, this is how we know UFOs are real. And there was like so many UFO conferences, and that was the main point of evidence, because the mayor came out, the mayor of Phoenix came out, was like, I don't know what that was. He had seen it with his wife, and they had the whole situation where they went on the news, the news talked about it. Oh, it's big. Dang. So that is happening here. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's happening in Taos. It's happening in Las Cruces.
Yeah.
It's happening in Joshua Tree.
Yeah. Oh,
it's happening in Cathedral City. It's happening in Mount Shasta. But it's happening in, like, I don't know why Mount Shasta. Maybe because they claim it's a root chakra of the world and it's a ley line.
Yeah.
But what I do know is that it's happening down here in this in this southwestern area. There's a lot of interesting things. And you know what's crazy is I believe it was in Tombstone. Tombstone, and then also here in fucking Tucson. Of during the Cowboys days and during those times, there was reports of silver metallic orbs.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and they didn't know what it was. Mm-hmm. And there was people who've made paintings like from that time who've like painted it in like scenes. And there's people who've written into the stories because there were a lot of people who were at the saloons and went outside and saw this just metallic, gray, silverish, like metallic thing, obviously, floating maybe 50 feet in the middle of the town above. Just literally.
See.
What does that remind you of though? So like to me, there are so many different theories as to what a UFO could be and what this could possibly be. It could be a spiritual thing. It could be an alien thing. It could be a human technological advancement that we don't even know about. Like, what if that is fucking time travel?
That would be crazy. What if in like, let's just say like we live for another 1,000 years, and what if that is us
time traveling
coming back at these like significant moments and stuff,
like an amusement park to watch, because what is going to be the form of entertainment for humans when we press forward? You think about how we've advanced from this point from 400 years ago, 100 years ago. They wouldn't even be able to fathom the technology that we have right now.
Right.
When we were kids growing up.
I mean, cell phones.
We couldn't even have this.
The internet, insane. Like the internet capability to the late 80s.
Think about Starlink. We have satellites that are within our atmosphere going around giving individual people Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah.
So obviously we already know that a lot of people are seeing Starlink and they're thinking that they're UFOs.
Right.
There's a complete difference.
And that's
and what we're seeing there, because you can see satellites and you can track satellites, and they're really cool, dude, because they're going in a specific set path. And I mean, you can track them.
Yeah, and we did not see Starlink that one night when we were in our backyard because we looked it up, and it wasn't Starlink. Because I was thinking when I was telling that story, people were like, "Oh, you saw it," but we didn't.
I mean, I want to get Starlink. I think it's very useful, and I don't want to be fanatical where I think everything that I see in space is a UFO, because these weren't even in space.
Right.
These were here on a mountain range, doing different things. You know what I'm saying? So in that instance, like, so it makes you wonder, what are we doing with? What are some of the things that we're seeing? Do
you think it's like benevolent, like good, bad? Like, what do you think? Doesn't even care about us? Like, is doing its own thing, not even concerned about humans? Like,
well, all right, so
just in an overall perspective, not what we saw on Friday.
I will give an example, and actually it's going to come with a story, obviously.
Okay.
So we had experienced in Joshua Tree on another trip with some friends that we had gone to Joshua Tree and experienced some very interesting things. Okay, just like the time when we went to Joshua Tree the first time. This time was a little bit more intense.
Oh yeah.
Way more intense. And the red star that like kind of came out of the mountain range, or the red flaming being, the giant, whatever we want to call it, Nephilim, UFO, spirit, demon, angel, we don't know. Nobody knows. That's the point. Came out of the mountain range in the first one, the first time we went. In this instance, we were hanging out with some friends. We were inebriated. We were taking magic mushrooms, having fun. And we just expected to grow closer as people. Right. To have a fun experience. A spiritual. Nothing. We weren't looking for fucking UFOs. We weren't looking for nothing. We were looking for a good time amongst friends. Right. Okay. That is not what happened. By any means. Right. By any means. In fact, it ruined our friendship, and we are no longer friends with those people. But to move the story along, we had a mushroom experience, and during that trip, we had an experience with those fire beings that were coming out of the mountains, as well as the stars that had descended in the other time. Now, of course, you're thinking, oh, these guys were just on drugs. Right. Mushrooms do not cause people to hallucinate the same vision. It's actually not medically documented to ever happened. There's only one thing that can do that, and that's ayahuasca. We don't have ayahuasca.
Yeah, no.
And magic mushrooms, for if you're not educated on psychedelics, it's a completely different compound. So they're not from the same derivative.
So much so that it's legal in a couple states now for like therapists to give their patients depression and trauma healing. And
take everything in moderation if you're going to participate in that.
And that's what we were doing. We were just like having a little bit with friends to like have a little spiritual, growth session, if you will.
Well, here's the best part about it. I got footage of it.
Yeah.
I got footage of the stuff that we saw. So no matter what we were seeing and tripping on, I have footage. And
it's kind of creepy.
It is creepy because you see the orbs of light. We see, in this instance, and I'll just explain it. One of our friends, she really was how do I say it? Something was possessing her.
Yeah.
While she was on her trip. And her gateways were all the way open, and it was like
a very emotional, like traumatic emotional type of thing. Like not like she was possessed, like, an exorcist or something. Like she was like crying.
Well, I don't know. That's your perspective, but my perspective is a little different. There was moments where I was trying to get her to break out of her spell that she was underneath. And we're doing this we're being very vague right now.
Yeah.
Because I think it's out of respect.
Yeah, I agree.
There was moments where actions were happening and she was dancing around with what she thought was a human, a friend. But she was dancing around with a fucking spirit.
With nothing.
With nothingness.
Yeah.
And we were outside, both of us and our other friend, having a normal experience. She came outside, and as soon as she came outside, there was this red light that was in a mountain range that was next to us. This mountain range was maybe like a mile away from us, if that. You know what I'm saying? It was within our neighborhood. Well, as soon as she came outside of the house, this red light came out of came out of some crevice in the mountain range, literally, and started to float in front of the mountain range, maybe like 30 feet up in the air.
Yeah. And then was moving closer.
And was
to the backyard where
moving into our backyard. So I noticed that this was happening. You know what I mean? And obviously Emily and our other friend were looking too. Like we were all noticing this.
Because we saw this glowing orange light literally coming closer. And at first I was like, is everybody else seeing this?
Yeah.
And then we were like, yeah, we're all seeing this.
We're all like,
is this, again, is this good? Is this a bad thing? Is this a good thing? Like, I've never seen a floating orange light coming to our yard. It was trying to literally
come to our yard. So I immediately recognized what it was. My spirit was like, that's a fucking demon.
Yeah.
Like immediately, there was no question. So I immediately started rebuking it.
Yes.
I immediately, in the name of the Lord, you get out of here, you demon fuck, you motherfucker, you get out of here.
Yeah.
I started praying over certain sections of the fence that it was coming towards, and as soon as I prayed over that section, it would come towards it and go away.
Yeah.
Like it couldn't pass the fucking barrier prayer that I was doing. So it immediately became a spiritual warfare at this point, because the three of us are going through this, and we're completely aware of what's happening. This thing is trying to intervene, and it wants to be around us because we're inebriated. Our defenses are down. Our other friend, it was as if
ascertaining it.
No. Oh. She couldn't even see it.
Oh, right.
I remember she was. She walked over to the part where I prayed, and was standing in the dark alone, looking at the thing, like staring at it.
But she didn't even
we I remember I was like, I said her name, Nothing. I said like 4 times.
She was like totally
dead smack. I like shook her like body a little bit, and she literally was locked in as if like she was under a trance. So I think she eventually like broke out of it after like, I think she was standing there for like 10
So you were like, hello, literally like snapping, shaking. And then she finally was like, how long have you been standing there? Where did you come? What's going on?
Literally.
And we were like, did you not? We all were saying your name. Like, Anthony's been literally shaking you for minutes at this point, and she had no idea.
No idea. So the 3 of us are like, dude, this is something very deep.
And then she was like, I'm gonna go to bed. Like, literally maybe in like 10 minutes after that, because we had talked to her for like 10 minutes. And then she was like, I'm overwhelmed. I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah. So we go out. So we go back to the area where that thing is at, and I'm like, you know what, dude? We need to be sure that we're actually seeing something. Mm-hmm. Let me record this. What's greater than our own eyes?
Right. Proof, dude. Physical proof. So I recorded it, and this is the craziest part. The thing in the recording talks. Yeah. And you can hear its voice, dude. That's what's like
that is the
craziest.
That is fucking... These are the ones that I've been telling you guys about.
Like, come out of this like barrier of protection that this guy just put up, so I can like...
Fuck you. Like, literally
mess with you.
You know what I'm saying? But like, no, you know what I'm talking about. That it was very evil. Yeah. So while that's happening, to the right, two stars descended, like the last time, and they were on the right side in front of our house, and I have video of that too.
In the driveway.
In the, like, literally right there.
Which we didn't know that they were in the driveway. We thought that they were in the street, which, again, like, what's 10
Depth
feet?
Perception.
But either way, they were, we looked in the morning, they were in the driveway. Like, right where we were, again, like, on the other side of the fence, like, right there.
And I mean, like,
ready to aid if they needed to.
And I mean, I'm talking about as far as we're right here and Emily's right there, and that's the star. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's a little bit higher in the air. It's like 10 to 15 feet in the air. Yeah. So we're noticing that happens. As soon as those stars, come into our area, the red thing shoots up and disappears. Literally for the rest of the night. And in the footage, you can see that. Yeah. You can see it. I hope I have it on his phone. I think I do.
Of it going away?
Yeah, because it was recorded on this phone, I believe.
You might.
Yeah. So you'll see. And it's one of those things in the video is quick. You just see literally 2 stars and then something ascending up. And then in the other one, you hear the clip and you can see the fire. Oh yeah. Whatever you want to call it, fire being, star, demon, jinn. Yeah. We don't know what it's called.
Yeah. We don't know what it was.
It was evil. I can 100% tell you that because...
figure out the name.
Oh my gosh. So we were... So literally the next day we wake up and we talk to our friends. Well, obviously we depart for the time. And I remember I was praying. I prayed to God and I asked God to reveal to me what we had seen. And I literally was like, I didn't say you need to. I need to know the name of that demon. Yeah. So I can command that to never come this way again. Oh, right. Because it's believed that if you know the name of a demon, you can command it. That is just a belief. So that's what I wanted to do. And you know what's very crazy? The name that came to my mind was Saban. I've never heard that name in my life.
Never
in my life. And our friend, very interesting enough. She
knew that name.
She worked for the company.
Yeah.
She worked for a company that
in New York.
And this is our friend who was acting a little possessed and a little interesting. She worked for the company in New York that went by the name of that demon. And that demon was Sabin was a magician that existed in ancient Egypt. And he worked with actors and actresses. Yep. And he put them underneath the spell that they would be slaves to him for the rest of eternity.
And she was in New York in like a theater
as an actress
company.
So it's a far jump, but
also not.
It's really. Not.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting.
And didn't she live on a street too? I thought there was like 2 connections that she like lived on a street with that name too.
Possibly, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But I do know, so as I figure this out, I call her and I tell her, hey, this is the name of that spirit that I heard in my head from God. He said it was this. It could be, it might not be. You know what I mean? Take it or leave it. Well, she was at the rock shop, the Joshua Tree rock shop, talking to a lady who worked there. Now, this lady was a very highly spiritually inclined person, you could say.
Oh, yeah.
Damn near, probably not even a human, could have been an alien in disguise, an angel of light in disguise.
Like, if you met her, you would know because her
eyes were radiant.
She was just so, like, pure love. Like, you just wanted to, like, tell her everything about your life. And, like...
But she knew it already.
She knew. That's what I was going to say.
She knew it already.
And she was like, yes, child, like, my child. Not really, but, like... that her energy was just so comforting, so loving, so like everything. And she said to us, because we had asked her, because Anthony and I went to Joshua
the day, but also we should note before we went and had the trip ourselves, we went to that rock shop before we settled in the Airbnb, and we had our experience with her. So.
Yeah. I was just gonna say we had a conversation with her, and she had like just recently come to Joshua Tree. She was saying that she felt called to go there,
for some
reason. She just found this job, to get money while she was in town, and that when she felt called to go somewhere else, that she would leave. And I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. And she was like, yeah, I just moved here from Monterey. I lived there for 6 weeks. I've been here for a couple of days. She was like, but we'll see where I go next. And I was like...
I think she said that she was thinking about quitting that day.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
She was thinking about quitting. She was like, but something told me to stay. And then we met her. So it's like,
Our group met her. So the 3 of us met her, us and the other friend who didn't have a bad experience. And then our friend who had a bad experience met her at the same time. And let's say our experience is very different. Ours is very normal, how you meet anybody. Hi, how are you doing? This is my name. This is your name. When she met her, she broke down in tears and was sobbing and having a mental breakdown. In front of everybody.
Yeah.
And there was no explanation for it until afterwards we asked her what happened. And she said she felt like the lady wanted to greet the 3 of us rather than just greeting her because she felt like she was unworthy.
Oh, yeah.
So that should tell you how much of a presence this person had, that somebody who thinks of himself in a less than way, it really made her feel like she was not worthy of being in her presence.
Right. That's true.
And that's why. So after we had our experience, all the bad shit happened, and I call her. I'm like, hey, it could be the spirit named Sabin. Look into it if you want to.
Yeah.
She is talking to that lady about everything that happened that night to confirm with her if what happened was real.
Right.
And the lady was like, yes.
Yeah, she said that we were meant to experience that it was real. She knew that it happened.
She was already aware of it. She knew.
When we met her, she knew that something was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what she told her. And that she needed to go through that experience, and I don't know. It was pretty crazy that this woman confirmed it.
Yeah, it was very interesting. So... I say all that to say, back to the original question.
Some are bad and some are good.
I think that the spirits that are coming out of the mountain ranges that are red are escaping a prison. Or they're bound to Earth. They're bound to the location.
Yeah.
Rather than the spirits that are in the stars or they're acting as stars, are stars. And we have
the white and the blue
yeah.
have a good positive energy. The red and the orange have a bad.
Yeah. And there's plenty of references to this stuff in different cultures. I mean, if we even go to Semitic culture, like early Judaism and even Christendom. So when you go into the studies of what the early Greeks were thinking during the days of when Christ was like maybe 100 years after his death, there was a bunch of apocrypha that were released. And apocrypha is a later term that was given to texts that were speaking on the mysticism of Christ, also different aspects like the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jesus and all these different books that didn't make it into the Martin Luther version of the Bible, which came like 400 to 500 years ago, like more recently. So when you look into the older text, into the original text, which I believe are true and valid. Okay, that's my opinion. You don't have to believe that. There is a text called The Ascension of Elijah.
I don't know. I mean about that.
Yeah. My bad. The Ascension of Isaiah.
Isaiah, okay.
Yes, of Isaiah. And with this book, they explain the seven heavens. And they explain how the stars are positioned in the sky as angels. They're angels. They are angels, living beings. But they are also celestial bodies. Like they're literally fucking planets and stars in the way that we perceive them in this reality. But in the other dimensions, it is literally something else. And it is said that the first heaven cannot perceive the second heaven because the second heaven cannot perceive the third, and so on and so forth.
That makes sense.
So these things act on their own accord as if they are their own gods, own deities, and stuff like that. So in the third heaven, there is an extreme notion of jealousy. And the third heaven is where the devil comes from. And the devil was known as Samael. Samael is the original name back in the day. And it's not like Lucifer. Just means bearer of light, but the name of that being was Samael. So when you hear about the angel Samael, it is Satan, the devil. And it was said that the beings of the third heaven were bound by the emotion of envy and jealousy. It is anything that is in that third heaven
is bound by that.
Yes. So does that make it evil? Or does that make it a product of its environment?
Right. That's true. They can't even leave. I mean,
it's like us here. It's like us here. We can be, and now the things about, I say this because the things that happen on earth are not even spoken about in the first heaven because it's so evil. What's happening here? What's happening in the first heaven is so evil that it's not even spoken about in the second, and so on and so forth until you get to the sixth heaven, where nothing is evil. And from that point on, it is only goodness. But to us, if we were to go to the fourth heaven and see it, we would look at the highest angel there and assume that is God.
Right.
Immediately.
Because it's so good.
Because it's so good.
To what we're used to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's trash.
Yeah.
The actual heaven that we're thinking of doesn't even precede those heavens.
Right.
Shit.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's what the angels of those heavens will say. So when Isaiah was meeting all these different angels from the different angels, like he was like bowing to them, and they're like, "Do not bow to me. If you think that this place is great, could you only imagine what the Lord of the sixth heaven is like?"
Right. Oh yeah.
Could you even imagine?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I couldn't tell you if this is a matter of good or bad, because what if our perception of what even good and bad is just so stupid and low in understanding? We don't know what evil is.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true.
We
don't
perceive
really have
evil, but we don't have a true understanding. We don't have the basis of what's the origin point? What's the mechanism for this? Why does it exist? Is there an actual reason for the polarity to exist? Does polarity allow for life? You know what I'm saying? And we know it does.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You need to have both.
Yeah. But what if that's just here on this earth? And what if the first heaven? Just continuously, like, there's so many questions, right? And that's just one reference from one instance. But it's hard to say, dude. It is so hard to say.
Yeah.
Because when you look at look at the Yellow Emperor, who was said to be the first emperor of China, actually. Mm-hmm. It was said that he came down in a spaceship. Mm. And when he descended, actually no. Is it of China or is it Japan? I might be wrong. That would be so stupid if I fucked that up. I'd be so disappointed in myself. I know you guys don't care, but I do.
Yeah.
I think it's China. No, I think it's Japan. Anyways, that is so fucking wrong of me.
Yeah.
Their cultures are so vastly different.
Yeah, they are.
But it was a Yellow Emperor, that's his name, so he is a real individual. Actually, it's debated if he was real or mythological, because the way they describe him as a god that descended on a spaceship or like some kind of like saucer-like craft onto Earth. He had the ability to shapeshift into a dragon, and he taught us language.
Huh. I would think China, based on that story.
Yeah. I would think, but you could be wrong. Either way.
You could be wrong.
Yeah, because I was wrong.
Yeah.
But the story of that is that's the basis of it, and that's where the basis of where
he transformed back into a.
He can shapeshift. He actually
humanoid and then take off in his spaceship.
Yeah. No, he like descend. He left.
Was he an emperor for a period of time as a dragon?
No, he had they called him. So this is where stories become conflated.
Got it.
You know what I mean? And is it like he was the yellow dragon? That was what he represented,
right?
Or was he able to literally shapeshift into a dragon? Did he actually come down from the stars and descend like they said he was? And they said that he was a god. He was not a human. That's he taught us language. Well, we know that can't be true. Because language wasn't taught 5,000 years ago.
Right.
It's predates. Yeah. So, you know, it just comes to a point of, you know, how many stories were put together and embellished to become what we know today as a story of the Yellow Emperor.
Right.
Was he just a regular dude who had capabilities, and he just had a little bit more intelligence than everybody? He could speak better than everybody else. And they said that he was the dragon because of his power and the way that his voice was able to persuade people. You know, who's to say? Maybe he really could transform into a fucking dragon. We don't know.
Yeah.
Because we weren't there.
Yeah. No, it's true.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, you have instances like that. Also, Shiva. So a lot of people Shiva is a primordial being that encompasses everything at the same time. But we also have stories of Shiva coming down into the physical form on this earth as a tall blue man that was over 8 feet tall, came down in some sort of fucking spaceship, and then was able to teach his teachings to different gurus throughout time. Very interesting. And that's where the teaching of, you know, yoga, chronic breathing, and all that stuff comes from. Is from him being able to sit in this position for such a long time, and he had all these disciples who were around him, and the only ones who were able to sit in the position the entire time that he was able to do it were considered gurus. And they had to learn every form, but whatever form that they were able to practice and hold for however long they needed to. That's where different teachings from that spreads out, and that's why you have so many different teachings of yoga throughout India.
Wow, see?
Spread straight from Shiva. Yeah. So he was a real person. And there's so many descriptions of him. A tall blue man.
Dang.
8 feet tall.
That'd be so crazy to see.
Crazy.
Like, imagine then he's like, come and sit with me.
So people hear that from other religions and they're like, bullshit.
Yeah.
But all the Christians believe in Goliath. Goliath was, I think, over like 12 feet tall.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not so far-fetched when you think about it.
Yeah.
And there are blue people today. You know, if you drink enough colloidal silver in your life, you will turn blue.
Yeah. Like
there's
that
proof
lady.
of it. And that dude.
The love lady. The cult.
Oh my God. That was crazy.
Mother God.
Mother
actually.
God. The girl who thought she was Mother God.
Mother God. Yeah. Let me address her properly. Yeah, she did turn. Well, she was like a great blue, but either way, yeah.
What a ridiculous! Like, I don't even want to go into that.
Yeah.
Because it's just so
Yeah.
No, it's so ridiculous.
But
it's so ridiculous. Cults. But that's what I'm saying. So that there have been examples of powerful people who've had influences over large swaths of culture, who have said to come from different areas. I mean, even I can go for a long time on different things, but you look into different tribes. You look into the Zuni. You look into the Dogon people. These are two different groups of people from two different continents.
Yeah.
That claim to come from the same star system.
Right.
Sirius.
How do you explain that?
How do the Dogon people know that there's a Sirius B when our telescope hadn't even found it yet?
Right.
And now they've confirmed it's true. They knew about every single planet in our star system. Long before we were stuck on flat Earth like idiots.
Yeah, no, literally though.
So this is what I'm saying. Like, you know, it is very interesting that there were groups of people that were ostracized from the rest of society that have beliefs that they came from these fucking stars that we didn't even know existed until we have telescopes.
In modern times. Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazier than anything. And actually, even crazier. I forget what country in Africa this happened in. I think it was Uganda. It could have been Uganda. There was an actual flying saucer in the way that we believe it to be, like a metallic fucking saucer, landed at this school.
A school.
Yep. There's footage of it. There's a bunch of kids. They've done so many interviews on all of these kids who've described the same exact thing.
Was there something in it?
Aliens came out and talked to them. And there's been so many, dude. It is one of the most documented things that's of alien interaction ever. And it's real.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of, they're making it up.
Maybe they didn't
No,
see it,
everybody in the town saw it. So many people have come and interviewed these people. And some people's lives have changed forever because of it. And not in a good way. You know? Some people want nothing to do with it.
Yeah. I feel like that's like, it's kind of like 50-50. Some people are like into it. They want to talk about it. They want to try to videotape it. And some people are like, no, I'm good. Just keep doing my life. I don't want anything to change. They like...
Because it breaks...
Write it off.
It breaks their paradigm.
Right. Everything that they know and believe to be true is now... not...
Well...
questionable.
It's because people think they know what God is. Nobody does.
Right.
Nobody does. Even the scriptures describe that people don't even know God's actual name in any facet ever.
I don't even know if we're like capable.
No, you are. You'll die if you say it, they say.
Oh.
It's so grand, so great that even if you appeared upon the creator, you would be non-existent. But would that be because you are the creator? God is everything.
True.
Like, what if it's so deep? We don't even know. We're just so dumb and stupid and trying to perceive things, but it's you cannot see into the fourth dimension. It's literally impossible. That is the reason of the third dimension. Just like the second dimension can appear into the third dimension, it's an impossibility. So we can draw a cube on a piece of paper in the second dimension,
right?
But it distorts the image, and it's not truly three-dimensional.
Right.
It's just a depiction of what we believe to be three-dimensional. Now we know three-dimension is real because we live in it. We don't live in the fourth dimension.
Yeah.
We couldn't even perceive it.
Dang.
It's beyond us. And actually, that's where the idea of the Tesseract comes from. Is actually the Tesseract is us drawing the shadow of whatever.
Oh, would be 4D.
Yeah. It's a shadow, because that's what drawing up a cube is. The shadow of the image. We don't even know.
Yeah.
It'd be like you see your shadow on the floor. Could you make out any of your facial expressions, any of what you are? No.
Right. No.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's just a
basic outline.
Yeah. That's crazy, and that's reality. So with us, what if that's what we're dealing with?
Maybe. I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Nobody knows.
What if this is like a kid playing in his fucking backyard, and he's just fucking with his fingers, and to us, his fingers are these lights that are fucking going on a mountain range, and it's just like they fucking around. Like,
yeah.
It could be that. Ugh. Could be anything. So, with that, I think, go outside.
Yeah.
At night.
Observe the natural world.
Observe what is man-made and what you believe to not be man-made, and then investigate the other stuff. Because you don't want to be led astray. You don't want to look at, you don't want to be watching helicopters and watching drones and then posting that footage like, oh my God, look what I saw.
Right.
You can clearly tell if it's a helicopter or if it's a drone. Very easily. This shit's easy. Yeah. And also, share your stories. A lot of people are reluctant to share because they're afraid of being embarrassed or they're afraid of being called out. Who cares?
Yeah.
Literally, who cares? If somebody believes what you say or not, literally cares.
The internet will be on to something else in about 5 seconds, so it doesn't matter, really. Yeah. It's true.
I love it. And that's why we're here, sharing our stories.
Thanks for your 5 seconds.
Yeah, no. It's funny though, because when you hear these stories and you hear some of the circumstances, like where we are inebriated and stuff like that, you're like, are these people fucking making this up?
Right.
Or is this just a trip? No, I have experiences where I've had crazy psychedelic trips, and I want to talk about those.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, I want to talk about them because it is way more mystical, and it's way better. And I promise you that I would never mistake a psychedelic trip for physical reality, especially when I got footage of it.
Right. Yeah. You got 3 people who saw the same thing and video and audio footage, so that's. You can't even deny it.
Yeah.
What we saw was real.
And trust when I say that I will tell you when I am inebriated.
Right.
I have no problem. I do not care. Don't care. So, Shablam, I think next up,
you should tell a story.
Do you think we should? Of what? Of what?
With the mirror. When
story. My God, dude. Oh my God, that's crazy.
It's a good story.
I have experiences where I've talked to myself in the future. Once when I was inebriated on some fucking mushrooms, and then once before that in a fucking dream. And I think that, remember when I first met you and I walked into your room?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. We should tell that story. Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. All of this, that right there, is one of the craziest things, actually. I think we're all special. I think we all have abilities, and I think that the more that you're able to enact faith on that end, on believing. Wow, what do you say?
Believing.
Yeah, dude, I fucking created a word right.
But it's
to believe in and have faith in the mystics, the mystical side of this world, and that is not always just this very physical reality that we're bound to. There's a spiritual battle that's going on. The more you acknowledge that, the weirder shit happens.
Yeah.
So
let us know what you think. I'm curious.
Let us know.
If you have any thoughts, which I hope that you do, if you listen this far, we've touched on a lot of different topics.
Let's hit an Easter egg too.
Okay.
So the Easter egg is going to be Gryffindor. Whoever comments Gryffindor first will get a prize.
There you go.
Simple. There you go.
All right. And but let us know what you think too.
Please.
And about UFOs, about simulation, about lights that you've seen, maybe about literally anything that we talked about, because we, like I said, we touched on a couple of different things, but
yeah,
I'm
and
curious,
I know that people have seen stuff and they're being quiet about the topic, because every time I bring this up to a stranger or somebody that seems very off put by the idea of it, and I just talk anyways.
Yeah,
they always have a story.
Right.
They always have a story.
Yeah,
and they've kept the story back because they're afraid of judgment.
Right.
The only person that's going to judge you is yourself. Nobody else. Doesn't matter.
Or a worst thing, they're going to say, you're crazy.
Ooh.
Hey, did you see the Dodgers? That's it. They're just going to dismiss it and then bring up another topic. They're not going to sit there and be like, I don't want to be friends with you anymore because you told me that. So,
maybe if
or
they
if
do that,
they do,
that's what you want, because they're a bad person. They're not
then you're better
We're
off.
allowed to disagree with each other as humans.
Yeah.
And if somebody doesn't allow that to happen and they try to control that facet, they're a fucking controlling shithead. So
that's where we'll leave you.
that's where we'll leave. That is it.
We'll see you next time.
Yes, mahalo nui. We love you guys.
Bye.
Later.